In this session, we'll talk about AWS IAM. So IAM is an identity and access management service. It basically controls who can do what on which AWS resources. It's a global service. So like for most of the AWS services, you have to be in that region to work on that service. But IAM is global. That means whatever permission, whatever roles you create over here, that can be attached to the services across various regions. It uses AWS Managed Identity Store to store the user identities. You can interact with the AWS IAM through AWS Console, through CLI, through Cloud Shell, through AWS SDK. So the access is controlled by permission, and those permissions are maintained as a JSON policy document. For example, let's take a user who has below permissions to their employee access card. Let's say they have access to building, they have access to their ODC, but they do not have access to server room and other ODC accesses. So they can access when they enter the building, they can go to their designated ODC as well. But if they try to enter the server room, if they try to enter any other ODC not designated to them, they will get an error. So this is how IAM maintains the access for the services for the users, and it defines what they can access and what they cannot access. So let's quickly understand users, groups, roles and policies. So users can be an individual, a user like you and me. We can create an application user who can log into console, who can access the AWS services through CLI and all those things. So that can be an individual, but it can be an application service as well. Okay, so user is someone who has credentials, who can use a username and password, or they can also use the access key and secret access keys. Example, user accessing AWS console using username and password. Okay, so groups, they are collection of IAM users. Okay, so for example, I have a team of developers. Okay, so I'll create a individual account for each and every developer, but then rather than giving permission to each and every one of them individually, I'll group them together. Let's say I'll call them one developer group, and whatever permission I need to manage, I will assign to that group. So whatever will be assigned to group will be applicable to individual users as well. Okay, roles, they are a temporary identity with the permissions. It doesn't require a username or password, so it is basically used by the AWS services, application or federated users. Okay, example that I have an application running on EC2, which is EC2 is Elastic Compute Services offered by AWS, and that application wants to access the S3, which is an storage service offered by AWS. Now to access the service, it needs to have certain permission. Without permission, cannot access it. So that level of access can be controlled by a role. We'll see in detail how do we create a role and then how do we actually give permission. Policy, it's a JSON document that defines the permissions. It basically answers who can do on what resources, and it can be attached to user, group or role. Okay, so you can attach a policy to user directly, you can attach a policy to group, you can attach a policy to role. So it has the details of what permissions are allowed, or you can also deny permissions as well. Okay, so now we'll have a walkthrough of the console. We'll see the AWS IAM, how do we create a user, and all the points we discuss. So I have connected to AWS console. I am under IAM services, and as you can see, IAM is a global services. You do not have an option to select any region. So let me go to users, and let's create one user. Okay, so let's create user. Let me name user as Alex. Okay, and let me select checkbox, provide user access to AWS management console. It's an optional thing. If you check it, then user can log in into the console like we did to this console URL. Password, you can auto generate the password. You can set your own password following the password policy. You can see the password policy listed down there. You can check this box that user must create a new password at next sign in, recommended, not required for us. Let me click next. I can add user to a group. I can copy permission for the users, or I can attach a policy directly. So I'll click attach policies directly. That means I will lightly attach this policy to this user. So it's loading, it is slow, let's wait. Yep, so these are the policies which you can see. So the policies have different types. So you can see AWS managed policies, you can see AWS managed job function wise policies. Okay, you can also see customer managed policies. So you can filter and you can select the policies that you need. So AWS managed policies are basically they are provided by AWS for different roles. Job function is the policies again provided by AWS for different job functions, for billing, for database administrator, for network administrator. Customer managed are the ones which you have created under your account. So I had created some policies in the past, that's why you can see them. If it is your new account, then you may not find them and you may not find any customer based policy. So let's attach a policy to this user. I'll select the administrator policy. So let me just type in, yeah, selected. I'll click next. Okay, so permission boundary, you can set a permission boundary as well for the user, but for this is not required. We'll cover it later on. Let me click next. This is the just review and create. Whatever you have provided details, you can just quickly review them. Click next, then you'll user will be created. So you can see a console URL. I have hidden that URL, the account number, you have the username, you have the password. You can copy the password. I did not copy the password as I don't need it for now. Okay, so created one user quickly. So let's create one more user. Okay, I'll name this user as Bob. Yeah, let me type in this. Again, I'll provide the console access. I'll auto generate the password just for demonstration, so you can provide the custom password as well. Okay, so let me do this. Fine. I'll again attach a policy, and again for easy demonstration I'll select administration access. So administration access is someone who can do all the, you can create resources, you can read resources, you can create resources. So it's like an admin account, admin role, rather admin policies created by the AWS. So I'll copy the password for this user. We will use it to log in into the console with the username the Bob. Okay, so let's return to the user list. I did not download it, I don't need it. I have copied it and pasted it somewhere else. Fine, so we created two users. So now let's have a quick look into the groups. Okay, so we created two users. Now let's assume that these users, they work for one group. Let's say they're part of a developer group. Just before that, let's quickly review the user which we created. This is the permission you can see which we assigned to the user. Again for Bob also you can see the permissions which we assigned. Okay, now let's create a group. I'll name the group as, let's say, developer group, and I can see 4 users because I created some users in the past. Let me select Alex and Bob. Now here also you have an option to attach a policy. So basically when you want to manage groups, user through groups, you can attach a policy through group as well. So earlier when we created a user, we assigned a policy to user directly as well, but now we can also attach a policy to group as well. Okay, this is just for demonstration. If you attach a policy like if you attach administrator access to the group, and if you remove the administrator access from the user directly, then also users will have the admin access. Okay, so this is all about the users and group. In the next session we will cover the roles, we'll cover the policy as well, and we'll also log into the console using the user Bob, and we'll also see how we can make use of the role to provide the temporary access to a user. Thank you.